Welcome, BBCers, to episode number 196 of the Broken by Concept podcast, the number one solo queue educational and motivational podcast. Curtis, 4 episodes ago, we did our duo queue episode, talking about our opinions of it, some positives, mostly from our experience, some dangers or downsides to duo queue. And what I said in that episode, I said to you, would be interesting to see if we sort of pose the question to the community. Anyone out there who's duo or felt like they've found success from it, write in. And we wanted them to get pretty detailed, like, tell us about your experience. And I said, I specifically want to see, 10 back-to-back, not nitpicked games, VODs, send them over. So someone's actually done that. And we thought it might be interesting to start off this episode with, to cover it. Wanted to explore this a bit.
Yep, do a bit of investigation.
We are investigative journalists for solo queue here on the Broken by Concept podcast. So, we'll read out the email part first, then we'll actually look at gameplay, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
All right, so the title of this one is Duo Queue Case Study. Hello, Curtis and Nathan. I've been duo queuing for many months and have seen a potential case study for my extremely positive experience with duoing. I believe there are many benefits to duoing that the League of Legends community doesn't discuss. In the recent podcast, episode 192, The Reality of Duo Queue, Nathan floated the idea of analyzing a duo who regularly play ranked together. I've seen every episode of the Broken by Concept podcast, some more than once, and have seen many of Coach Curtis's champion guides on his YouTube. I love the podcast and would love to share my experience, as I believe it may be exactly what the League of Legends community needs in order to destigmatize duo queue, at least outside of professional levels. So he goes and say, hi, I'm Jackie. I'm 24. I didn't exactly grow up with video games because my mum thought they would rot my brain and destroy my eyesight. So the majority of my gaming experience is from sneaking onto the computer while my parents were away to play whatever game my siblings and I could get our hands on. When I turned 18, I bought a Nintendo Switch and started learning Super Smash Bros. Ultimate competitively. I wasn't able to invest any time into this hobby since I was working and attending college. I eventually dropped out of college and was hired as a video editor. A YouTuber friend introduced me to League in December of 2022 and tried to teach me top lane. But I hated the role and champions, so I gravitated towards support. I played a lot of Yumi until her rework, with my favorite cat in the whole wide world being one of the most hated fictional characters in the world. In addition to her being nerfed to oblivion, I attempted to learn Raoul, Leona, and Rakan, but something about them just wasn't clicking, so I decided to focus on Soraka and Nami. So in podcast number 192, Nathan initially asked for 10 back-to-back ranked games of the player and their duo, which I provided recording with the games with full comms. Below, I will list my Smurf accounts, my duos accounts, and my duo Smurf account. I met my duo through a Diamond support streamer who I made a few YouTube videos for in exchange for coaching and ended up playing with my duo, Pichu. We have been playing together regularly for the past 6 months or so probably close to 200 ranked games together in addition to however many normals with friends for fun. I wrote a Google Doc with additional information and points of interest around duo queue, which you will find below. In the podcast episode, Nathan requested 10 back-to-back ranked games, which I've linked below as well.
So before we go any further, I mean, just to get a bit of context, this is the main account of the...
This is Pichu. This would be his duo partner.
So this is the duo partner. So the duo partner's main account is an Emerald, looks like an Emerald 3 AD carry main, right? A bit of Jinx, bit of Jhin, bit of Senna, whatever. Played the game for quite a long time. Looks like they actually finished Diamond 4 the end of last season. And then we've got, this is the player Jackie here that we're reading, and the email. Platinum 3. Played quite a bit of Rakan here. Not with a lot of success, but got a bunch of Rakan games in, bit of Soraka, bit of Raoul, as stated in the email. Had a lot of success with Janna. Seemed to be rock and rolling with the Janna.
I like the support champ pool. I think
not
this
too
is
bad.
Cool.
So before we move on to the gameplay, there's just a few sections. This is a very long document, so we're not going to go through all of the points that in the document that they sent, but I think there's a few key pieces of information, okay? We've kind of already read this. So let's get to why Let's talk about this one first. Why I duo and why I decided to duo. Well, I'll start with this, and then there's maybe one more section I want to read. I mainly play League for fun, but I also like more challenging gaming experiences, and since the better a League of Legends player is, the more likely they are to play ranked than normal game modes. I used to play ranked solo and began at playing solo, and I was under the belief that the League of Legends community valued skill at the game, and if you're bad at the game, nobody will want to play with you. I didn't want to be bad at the game, so that was a burden to all my friends. So I got coaching from high-low friends and paid for a couple of sessions as well. During a coaching session with a former pro player, I mentioned how I took a break from rank because I was getting plus 15 and minus 30, making attempting to climb feel pointless. I was told I shouldn't care about LP, which I thought was a ludicrous statement because I didn't understand why anybody would bother with playing not ranked for the LP. So I spoke to an Iron Eddie carry player who said they played exclusively ranked because they thought, even though they were Iron, they knew just how awful they were at the game, and that the other Iron ranked players are taking the game seriously, which allows them to have more fun than a normal game. So even though they're bad, they enjoyed playing with other bad players because it's a little bit more competitive than normal, apparently. When one of my friends insisted that we should join, I eventually agreed because even if my rank in MMR gets inflated, if we're playing together, that means both of us deserve the rank that we're playing together. But if I play solo, I will just go to whatever division I deserve. It seemed like a win-win, more serious games, fun with friends, and getting to experience high-level gameplay. So theoretically, that's true. Like there is like a rank that you will deserve as a duo.
If you play enough games.
But that just means that it's not representative of you as an individual. That's all that means. So there's a lot of stuff here. The one last section that I want to get into before we get into the gameplay is this. Now, this is titled, Why I Believe Duo Q Made Me a Better Player. Being able to play alongside another role enables me to ask that player directly what type of win conditions they're looking for, how they would like to play fights, and what game pace works for their champion. It also gives me a great detail of how their champion works without having to spend hundreds of games playing that champion myself. Playing into our champ's identity in unison allows us to follow a much more linear game plan and evaluate our plays and decision making better. There is more room for error, but together we can at least agree on what we did right or wrong, rather than independently sit confused, wondering if we took a bad fight or just got outplayed. My duo and I might both be wrong, but if we can agree on something, it's a great place to start. If one of us is confused about the events of a fight, we can help each other explain what happened, learn from the situation, etc., etc. Duo Q becomes a cooperative learning experience like a school group study session. We both queue up with seriousness, ready to learn, help each other, and enjoy the company while accomplishing more together than we would apart. Okay, there's a lot there. I'm going to refer back to parts of this as we get through the gameplay here. So, we're going to dive into the gameplay. Now, look, the audio is not amazing. Like the in-game sounds are a little bit louder than the voice, but we're going to have to bear with me. What I want to go through here is the first 9.5 minutes. And I want to preface this by saying, I apologize in advance if I come across aggressive. I already know I'm emotional when I do this podcast, right? so I want to try to remain level-headed. And again, I want to preface by saying the intention of this episode is, I agree. We've already said this on the duo episode that I think an 80 carry, a bot lane duo can be done well, be useful if done well.
That was our conclude. Like that's what we got to at the end of that episode. We were saying that, mid, jungle, top, like really don't see much value at there at all. But duo, maybe there's value.
I think it can. It can. Okay. Yeah. Now, as we go through this, I want you guys to ask yourself, are these players getting more learning than they would have otherwise if they played solo? That's the question. Because ultimately, if we want to be better at League and we would be better players, the question would be, okay, if you're better in a duo, that means you're learning more as a duo, theoretically, than as an individual. That's what that means, right? I mean,
especially that last line of that. Document.
Exactly.
It's just like, cooperative. We can be learning more efficiently. We can ask them what their win condition is.
And he said,
sort of
this person, Jackie, said, quote, we would be better together than as if we were apart. That was what they believed. Okay. So I'm going to kind of get into the details here.
And again, I think another precaution or disclaimer, Curtis and I were not the fun police, right? Duo Q, awesome. Have a lot of fun. Yes. Curtis and I, duo back in the day.
Fun.
Remember, this is an improvement League of Legends podcast. Curtis and I's strong belief of the game is that our strong belief in our view of League and ranked is that improving, taking the game seriously is where you get the most fun and value out of playing League of Legends. and we so happen to think that the individual experience is the quickest way
That's
to
correct.
get there.
Okay. So, basically, they're playing bot lane here. Soraka, Jinx, bot lane. They're versing a Varus and a Zac.
With purpose and finality.
This is kind of sus.
So they're kind of chilling. So we'll fast forward when they get into lane here. Okay.
Like, why are we stopping? Zac would be in that bush.
Well, actually, we actually should not even have fucked up, to be honest.
Jesus Christ, that ability is so long range.
Elegance in darkness.
So it took a pretty bad level 1 trade. They say we probably shouldn't even have walked up.
I should have waited for us to get lower.
Just gonna have to be careful. Concede level 2 here. Be respectful. That's fine.
Ready to speak to. Yeah, they are too. Yeah.
I mean, I think they arguably could have played this earlier lane way more
Absolutely.
aggressively,
They
in my
should never
opinion.
be losing priority to
I think
the
you
Soraka,
should
yeah.
easily be getting prior and shoving into a Varasac, especially since the enemy didn't start in
Too
lane.
late, I missed the hit
Right, so if
fake.
we're just nitpicking, if we're getting granular, right? Like, if I'm playing Soraka range support, Soraka's a lane bully. We should have already been taking bush control. We should have been over here. And we shouldn't even have, in my opinion, we should have started in lane.
That's right.
We shouldn't even have been in this jungle. We should have been over here controlling these bushes, shoving them out level 1. Zac's not that strong. We're strong level 1. We're stronger than them level 1. We can bully them. So we should have already had lane control. So that's that whole thing. The hypothesis was wrong. But like you said in the email, you're both wrong, you fail together, whatever, right? So anyway. Getting shoved in, no big deal. Wave's in a pretty good spot here. The enemy kind of shoved that too fast.
Me too, Hedgie. I missed the hit fake, missed the CS. Missed the CS. That's worse.
Just really poor positioning from the Soraka here.
No worries.
I mean, if we're looking just ability usage as well, I don't even agree using abilities on the Varus hit, to be honest. I think actually poking the Zac would probably make a little bit more sense here.
He's the melee champ. He's going to have to be hitting the minions to get the proc on his... Was it Targons? What are they
Yeah,
calling it these days?
But, yeah,
Spot
just
on.
nitpicking really. But it's just a weird situation to be in, getting shoved in as a Soraka.
Swing phase.
They're losing everything right now. We don't be safe. We just don't know where he's at. So we just...
First blood.
So one of the interactions that's very important into Soraka versus Zac that I want to note is that you cancel his jump with your E, which is so important because you got to remember Soraka counters Zac pretty hardcore. If you use your E reactive to Zac's E, you're going to be in a very good position because he can't jump onto you guys. So just focus. Sorry, I just we'll go back here again. So basically, Wave's now bouncing out a little bit. We've taken some pretty bad trades. We've leveled up W level 2 instead of the Q,
Fuck, that didn't even hit me.
and they just get destroyed here.
That didn't even hit me. What?
So this is like, just again, this is a lot going on. If we look at this from a Soraka's perspective, I don't even agree with leveling up W level 2. I think we should go E level 2. We should be trying to get in the bush, stay in Zac's face, just be annoying, and always put the pressure on him so we can't actually E onto the Jinx, right? I think that there's that. But
Sorry, we need to silence level 2.
so yeah, so now Jinx positions really aggressively, gets hit.
What the fuck? That didn't even hit me.
So we've basically been we've got hit by every Zac Q. We've been
So
hit
far.
by every ability by Zac. Zac's been able to do whatever he wants here.
Yeah.
And so the question that I would pose here, right? So as the support, the Soraka's responsibility is to know that she's a lane bully and that you're going to have a very easy time against Zac. Is that the AD carries responsibility to like be telling you
No.
that? No,
You need to know that.
That's your
That's
job.
your job.
And you have to figure that out yourself. I mean, you know, you can't be this the AD carry. You can't expect your duo partner to have that much knowledge and responsibility. They just don't figure out what they
That's
want,
your
let alone
job.
your job. So you see here how like the first couple of minutes already, we've seen
So much.
really like this is like, you know, objective really poor lane phase.
Yeah.
And none of this had actually anything to do with Jinx from the support's perspective. And from Jinx's perspective, you might be asking these questions to your duo after, but you might just be flat out confused.
I don't know.
You know?
Let's get into it. We'll continue
keep
on.
going.
So basically, Jinx complained a little bit here. They got hit by the E.
What the fuck? That didn't even hit me.
So they have to burn
That
heal
didn't
and
hit me.
stuff.
What? That didn't hit me.
So they're in a pretty bad position. I think what they probably should even do here, they actually should be asking for a gank to get the wave out into a reset, probably. Because they're in a really bad position. They need to get this wave out. They should actually... What would you say?
Yeah, don't
Dyna's
ping
path
that
down
too
anyway.
much
We know
if
their
you don't
jungler's
wanna
path
keep going.
topside.
Yeah, man, everyone's gonna be smashing this wave, and you guys gotta get reset.
I
Like,
think
this is
I think they should have pinged
Pinged
for
for,
assistance in
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah.
I think the support should be taking control in this situation, or AD carry, either of them.
they're going to try and solo kill every single.
Support's job here, and this is also talking about support for a second. We should have known their jungler did a bot to top. That's the support's responsibility. You're always not the AD carriers, because AD carry, I mean, can. But in my opinion, it's more so the support's perspective, right? Their job. So in my opinion, we as a support should be knowing that the jungler can't be here. We should be pinging for assistance, knowing Dyna's pathing down. Ping for assistance, get the wave out, reset, taking control of the situation. Even if this was solo queue, especially if it's solo queue, we need to get the wave out and get a reset because we've messed up. We've actually been gifted a get out of jail free card, in my opinion.
With Dyna coming down.
By
here,
Dyna,
yeah.
the way the pathing just
Pathing
worked
worked
just
out,
by
yeah.
chance. If it was the other way around, Dyna path top side and the jungle path bot side, you're dead.
Dead.
You're screwed here. It's game over.
Because you didn't control the wave, and also you can be hit by every single.
That's
switch.
right.
Mortals must succeed. Gods have faith.
Yeah, don't ping that too much if you don't want to actually go in. Push it in now.
I mean, Soraka should have also been posturing way more aggressively in that situation and try and get the wave out, knowing Dyna's in that situation. We shouldn't be scared if the Dyna's in the area. We should be using the fact that Dyna's in the area to get the wave out. Now, let's go back and take a look at this.
Push it in now.
Just poor ability usage
So
in general.
we just don't know our job clearly.
We don't know what we're doing.
We don't know our
Yeah.
job is that, and again, no one else is controlling your character for you. You need to silence the Zaki.
This is the definition of just sit back, do nothing. There's no idea about junglers, no idea about waves, no idea about with trades. We're literally playing co-op versus AI, in my opinion. And I'm gonna say, I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just saying like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
here.
we're not playing League of
We're not playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
We're not actually understanding our job as a support.
This is not how the game works and it's structured.
No.
The structure of how the game works.
That's right.
I'm ready.
And how it should play out.
Okay, so this is good. We've decided we want to reset. I like what he did there. Just ping on my way. I'm not compensating. I'm going to reset. I think this is really good though. So this is all just luck. There was no communication. It was just luck that Zach went in. It was if the Dyna wasn't there, the wave was screwed. This is all luck. Believe it or not, even this looks like a good situation, this is 100% luck. All right, so continuing on.
Cool. Good for y'all. You got an assist too.
But you know what's actually scary here as well, by the way, is that after the game, if they won this, right, they would just, the chances are most people wouldn't even look at that. They would just accept we got a lead.
Extremely unlikely, yes.
And
and
then
they think, yeah, we did a great lane phase.
Great lane phase, guys. It was good.
And this is why improving at League is so hard because people just literally just see the outcome of the game.
They don't look at how they got the lead at
and that's
all.
the thing. Like the amount of, I mean, Curtis and I, we review wins in our programs all the time. We encourage people to bring wins.
Yeah.
And I end
Doesn't matter.
I end the review and wins in 10 minutes. Pretty much I barely get through entire games.
I don't give a shit if we win or loss.
Yeah, I actually
It's the
don't
same
even
thing.
care. It's
I
the same
don't
thing.
care.
The exact same thing. League is league.
Yep.
It's a language. And we're learning the language.
So Soraka just fast forwarding here. Look at this, wait. We should never, ever be pathing bot here. This is the worst path you could possibly do in this situation. So let's just go back here. Think about it. Let's look at the state of the game, right? Bot lane, we've just killed their bot lane, right? We've just denied all the farm. What's going to happen? Jinx is going to reset. Why would we be running bot here? We should always either be running, maybe looking for something top or hovering mid or something. We should never be running bot here. But let's just want to listen to the comms here for a second.
Wow, I got both? Fuck.
Must have.
Yep. Oh, Yanni. Turret shot.
There must not be any.
So it looks like they realized about halfway or like a quarter, a third of the way to the lane that
There's nothing to do
There's
bot.
nothing to do bot, so we should be running top.
Alright.
You're just waiting for the wave to bounce back bot here.
So I think this is a really good roam. And so if we fast forward a little bit, Soraka roams topside. I like this roam. I think it's good. There's no reason to be bot. It would have been a lot more efficient if we pathed directly out of base, but I like this.
Recall. Nope.
And then helps Urgot get the wave out, right? Which I like this. Now we see the jacks here on grubs.
Yeah, you know, again, you say you like this Gertis, but we were there 20 seconds later than we could be. Shouldn't have got the grubs and everything like that.
And then we
right?
just die.
Yeah.
So this is, I like this in the sense that at least we're making a decision, albeit it's a very slow behind tempo play. But I fundamentally I do like the roam if it was faster. But then the lack of adaptation if we get specific.
Not bad, not bad.
So we shoved the wave.
We should actually just go the safe way, or even recall again.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you just recall it. There's nothing to do top. Once grubs are gone, you insta recall.
You help Urgot get the wave out. Great.
There's nothing more to do.
Now run, but now we see Jax.
And Urgot wants the base. He doesn't want to do anything.
No, we don't want Urgot.
So again, this is your screen, your character. Jinx, you know, your duo buddy, whatever, is not involved in this play at all. It's your individual decision right now to be, okay, I know there's nothing to do. I need to understand what Urgot wants. Urgot doesn't want to fight. No. Urgot just wants to base and replenish his mana pool, and he's just pushed the wave in.
We don't even want this because
we don't want this. We need to get bot.
Because the wave's bouncing on bot. We don't even want it. We need to be way quicker here.
Yeah. So these are again game-changing outcomes that are pure. Has no influence at all whether you're duo queue or not.
Pure individual.
If anything, again, the duo queue once again is just adding extra variables to it because now you have to explain to a duo here why did you die top,
or it's just unnecessary. Yeah. Okay, so so we die. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here. So we get back to lanes. Let's take a look at this.
You ping grubs, or did you guys get any?
No, I pinged grubs, and Urgot was going with me.
And she walked away.
Yeah. I literally pinged it, and then she's like, nope, not going that direction.
Wait. They're talking about... Wait, let's just get... I want to hear what they said
This
is important. What were they talking about here?
they're analyzing the grub situation here.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. I mean, see why Diana didn't go. Why is she all the way by?
What the fuck?
Didn't you ping grubs, or did you guys get any?
No, I
So they're talking about why they didn't... They're blaming Dinah for not getting grubs here or something.
pinged grubs, and Urgot was going with me.
And she walked away.
Yeah. I literally pinged it, and then she's like, nope, not going that direction.
So this is interesting, isn't it? A completely failure to understand. So look, at the end of the day... I mean,
I guess the learning journey is happening together. But the thing about this is that the Jinx, I mean, it depends your level of relationship. The Jinx would just be trusting what their partner's saying here, but you would have to find out what's happening.
It's like the blind leading the blind in a way.
That's right. It's actually incredibly dangerous.
Because when you're by yourself, no one's going to confirm your
you have to figure it out.
You have to figure it out
yourself constantly. That's right. Like, you can't, like, with someone else, again, like, I'm not rank shaming here or anything like here, like we're all learning the game, but like, again, it is the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
And, Jinx having no problem solving capabilities here and just trusting. It's like, this is what happened to Grub's decision. This is what happened to Grub's. And it's just completely false, inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
And
it's
now
confusion. It's confusion.
It's adding so much confusion.
It's so much confusion to Jinx.
And now, like, your Jinx is like confirming, like, making you feel better. It's like, oh yeah, like Dinah was Dinah's fault. But in reality, it was all, we should never have been wanting those grubs in the first place, And if you don't know, it's sometimes harder to say that you don't know. Because, this is the invisible stuff that I was trying to express in the duo queue video. Because when you're with someone else, there's a lot of peer pressure, invisible peer pressure. Like, say you're duo, it's like, why didn't you get grubs? Right? Now, a lot of people in that situation, you're going to be like, you're not going to say, I don't know. Because sometimes maybe, I'm assuming this, like, genuinely had no idea. But unless you have a very, very, very good relationship that you have absolutely no care about what they think of it, you're just going to say something to make them feel happy or maybe not judge you or something. So in the moment, I'm just trying to, I don't want to over psychoanalyze here, but maybe that's why potentially this Soraka player, Jackie here in this case, said, oh, yeah, I pinged it and Dinah was moving, but for some reason Dinah didn't move. Instead of, if there was, if this duo queue, maybe they were way, way, way closer, or this was, let's say, to yourself, your answer would be, if someone asked you that, if you asked that question to yourself, you would say, I don't know. I don't know why we didn't do grubs.
It's like...
it's harder to say, I don't know, is what I'm saying.
It's like with people you care about. you tell them what they want to hear, not what they need to hear.
Especially
all
when
right?
you're in an emotional situation.
Moving fast paced, your
Yeah.
instinct is actually going to be, you don't have time to overthink
'Cause
it.
if, like-
It's just going to be, instinct's going to be like, oh, I'll just tell them so then they don't get emotionally
My point
focused
being
on
is
the
that, like,
game.
yeah, there probably are relationships out there, dual queue partners that are so close that, and like, say you asked me in the game, like, why didn't you get rubs? I don't fucking know. I don't care. But like, that's very, like, we've known each other for like,
Well,
you know,
that, but also we have a very sophisticated understanding of the game as well, right?
We've known each other for 13 years as well. Or
Yeah.
something, right. So, but my point being is that, like, it's very, very hard, and this is all the invisible things that I personally hate. This is what this is why I'm so against duo. It's the invisible, it's the psychodynamics, the interpersonal dynamics between people.
You're adding this variable,
Yeah.
the psychodynamics and the thing that, like, this league's so hard as it is already.
it's
You're
already
just
so
adding
hard.
this extra component. It's so detrimental. Like, honestly, like, this is again actually just confirming once again, like,
It's confirming, yeah.
it's actually even worse than I actually thought. Now
Worse
it's
than
actually
I thought.
breaking down. You know, like, you know, because people again will, you know, they have this sunshine and rainbows view of duo, but this is just not the reality, guys, as we're seeing here. And
the
you know, this is not like bronze. This is like platinum, emerald, like someone who's former diamond as well. You know,
and this
so-
is and when it's by yourself, there's like, it's on you. You got to figure it out. You have to figure that out. There's no like hiding. It's just, it's on you.
And that's why the improvement process is significantly 10x, 20x faster
Yeah.
if you
play solo queue and learn the game by yourself, because you're forced to problem solve by yourself. It's as simple as that.
Simple as that.
You
Okay,
know?
so let's continue on here. This is where it gets interesting.
Forgot what's going on.
And she walked away.
Yeah. I literally
Oh.
pinged it, and then she's like, nope, not going that direction.
thrive in the limit.
No more trusting this jungler.
So talking about trusting the jungler, you know what I mean? Like, where the fuck are we? We're talking about trusting. There is no trusting that. Like, you got to, like, what does that mean? Like, the jungler is making decisions. You're taking a backseat. You haven't pinged if you want this. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Right? Do you want the Dyna to gank?
We're just running around like
We're just
other
running
shit,
around. We're just
adapting and-
hoping that
yeah.
the Dyna's faker and making all the best decisions in the world. I don't know, but let's just get into this. So
They haven't talked about the wave once between them, by
there's
the way.
been no communication about what we want to do with waves. Nothing.
No.
Right? So this is talk about. There's that.
Yeah.
But then also, as a Soraka, right? What's one of the key interactions, Nathan, that I've been mentioning time and time again here about the E?
Yeah, we're not Ian the
Zach E. Now look at this situation.
Okay.
Ready?
This jungler.
So there's we E without Zach actually pressing the E button.
Yep. Look at this.
Our only job is just E that, and then we give us a kill there as well.
That's
Again,
okay.
that's not Jinx's
That's
fault.
pure individual.
That's individual again.
Sunrise
And these things are so important.
That's why
of
you're in
League.
rank. That is
That's
why
right, like,
you are your rank.
Flat out. And this is the thing, the scary thing about duo is that you're focusing on an aspect of the game, like the macro, the decision making, that unfortunately, guys, it's hard to hear it. Like, League is an incredibly mechanical, individual aspect game,
Yeah.
because only you're controlling the character. But people have this fantasy of what League is, that teamwork, that, you know, communication. But League is not that game. You know, that's chess. League is chess combined with the pure mechanics, moving your mouse, clicking your character, controlling your character well.
And another thing as well is that when you're playing champions like, you know, Jannas and Lulus and Bards and Sorakas, you have to be aggressive. They are, in a way, like, to make them work in solo queue. You don't just sit back, relax, and sit there and do, you know, you got to be in their face. It's like, you actually have to have the opposite mindset in a way, nearly, when you're playing an engager, where, like, engagers, you got to be very, like, defensive up until you boom, go in. But when you're playing champs like this, you got to be min-maxing, you know, min-maxing your spacing and tethering, bush control, getting in their face, zoning. We're not seeing any of that.
This is, you know, that's why I love that they gave the ranked journey, like the Yumi. This is the Yumi habits, I think, really here. Like, we haven't really learned that part of the game yet, which is fine. But again, that's all something you can learn on your own. Don't, in a way, don't burden your Jinx, your duo partner, of, like, you know, you're actually not learning the game properly technically yourself. You're not putting the effort to actually learn the game technically. Yeah, to be harsh, you know, like, you know, and again, you're confusing the Jinx. Like, you know, again, I'm not really reviewing from Jinx's perspective here because we're looking at the support, but, you know, support's a pretty big aspect of the early lane phase for bot,
100%.
right?
It's actually pretty chill if you're not going.
And again, just go on another tangent. It's like that. It's just that my favorite quote. You got to help yourself before you can help others.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that that last line of that we read in the Google Doc of like, you know, we're better because of each other and stuff like that. Like, well, you know, you're not helping yourself first. Like, you got to be competent yourself first and focus on that. Then you can start working and helping each other. But that's such a massive burden. Like, Soraka's got to know how to play by himself and think about the jinx as well. Like your duo partner, their emotions and their psychoanalysis, stuff like that. Like, it's just too much. League is too hard, guys. It's just too hard.
Flash, no flash, no flash.
The gods are bitter while the world lies neglected.
Alright, he's coming down. Or he went back in.
Here comes my ult. No, my ult didn't hit no one. So sad. Oh, I wonder where Zach is.
From the fires of opposition, I forge
I don't even really like that ability, but we get a kill, great. So cool. Now let's just fast forward a little bit. Maneuvers away bot, and let's take a look at this.
So we're recalling together with our jinx.
Yep, they will recall.
more the truth.
Now listen to it. Okay, what we're going to listen to in a second is the 80 carry talking to their kid or some shit, right? So the 80 carry here, I think they're talking to their real life. And I want to, this is maybe, I don't know if we step in the line here, but I want to just listen for a second.
Okay.
Because this is the reality. This is the, and I want to make it very clear. I didn't nitpick this VOD out of the 10 VODs. I literally clicked one of them.
This is the first
This
one.
is this is the first one and the only one I clicked on, okay? There's no nitpicking going on here. This is what I expected to see. Just listen here. Ready?
I told you, California's ruthless, babe. Jackie, did you see John F. Kennedy get shot in the head in high... Shit, yes. Did you see John F. Kennedy get shot in the head in history?
Are you telling me you didn't?
No, I didn't.
God.
Like the actual...
So that was the 80.
Wait. Look at the cherry on top here. Wait. Ready?
Are you telling me you didn't?
No, I didn't. Like the actual... Wow. Oh, I thought you were... I didn't know you didn't use heal. My bad.
I don't think I was within range.
I thought you were going to use heal.
Oh.
I thought you were going to use heal.
Yeah.
And they were talking about heal's range. Just that's the comment here. I thought you were going to... This person's talking, sitting here like...
You see
I don't know what they're doing.
John
And
F. Kennedy get shot in the...
it's talking about John F. Kennedy getting shot or something. And then...
Did you see John F.
They
Kennedy
get, I mean,
get shot in the...
everyone's misused. Everyone's messing up here. Jinx is messing up. Soraka's using abilities randomly. They're not talking about what they want to do in the 2v2 with the wave. There's this pure silence about the game. This guy's talking to his daughter or some shit. And then they're talking about, oh, why didn't you use heal? Thought you were going to use heal. Even though the heal wouldn't even have saved him anyway.
And even if you do get chunked
And
out
now this
low,
guy, and
it's
this
not
Soraka's thinking about looking at the heal range now.
There's no way heal is that large.
Big.
Holy shit, I didn't know heal was that large.
Light guides me.
good. So yeah, they basically blame that situation on the
So-
heal. Yeah.
Okay, look, and again, you guys, I'm not saying you guys are professional athletes or anything, but what I'm saying is that, you know, this is just the complexities of duo queue. You guys are both people and you got relationships and I don't know what your standard is, but all I'm saying is that we're adding a whole lot of complexity here. And what do we even say here? Like, what I don't know what to say about this. With this whole spiel about duo queue being amazing. You know, but look at the reality. You've made many, many individual mistakes. Where has this game been changed because we are a duo queue? Nothing. There's been no communication about what you want to do with waves. There's been no communication about... It's not like the Jinx is a high-ranked player and is giving you advice about how to play the lane. It's not like this guy's taking control and saying, okay, what you want to do is you want to sit in the bush. We're going to get shove early. I want you to use the EV. We're getting no advice here. There's no advice. There's no help. So that would be the only way in my mind. You're duo queuing with a high-level player and they're going to like give you insight about how 2v2 is meant to be played out. You're trying to learn about matchups and shit. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And then you have the added complexity about this guy. He's got a real life situation, and he's, and then this is more complex. And then and like, I just think, like, what do I do? What if I'm the support in this situation and my AD carry just died because they were confused about someone's coming in the room? What do I say? What do I do? I just sit there and play the victim and just pretend that never happened.
If this,
I don't know, it's very awkward to me. I don't know.
If this person if someone just gave us this VOD and said they didn't watch our podcast or anything like that, I would just assume that it's just, people that just aren't taking
having the game for fun.
Purely fun.
Purely
it's
fun.
completely
And
fine.
that's fine. Yeah.
But the fact that we've sent this in, we've got a whole text document and stuff why we think Bennett, and this is the standard that we think a good duo is. Let's get serious in the league community. Let's this is why I think this is a good to have this conversation. It's like, if this is what we think good duo is, like, we've got a long way to go.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
And so my response to this whole thing, and I want to say thank you for writing this in. I mean, I think and supplying with VODs and stuff, and I appreciate that, and we love our listeners. But just from a perspective of what I've seen here, you need to solo, and you need to start watching high level VODs, and you need to look at Soraka positioning in lane. You need to look at bush control. You need to start looking at how can I take control of my jungler? Are you tracking junglers? You need to focus less about win conditions, big picture shit. Just focus on, how do I do my job in the first 8 minutes? How's my bush control? How are my resets? Do I know what the hell I'm trying to do with waves? Am I even aware of what the junglers are doing? Am I willing to ping off junglers? Do I even know how to basic roam timers, which you seem to be having a good idea. You're still slow. You're walking bot. That is a habit that you need to develop. You're still walking bot out of base when you should have already been walking topside that one time. So it took you like 10
Too slow
seconds.
to identify.
You're like 10, 12 seconds too late there. This is all the stuff that it's individual, and having someone else in the call is just giant distraction. And the fact that this game is even remotely possible, just looking at this game, says to me that we're not ready for a duo. We're just not ready for a duo. And believe it or not, even if this guy's maybe he's misguided, whatever, you're a burden to him. You are literally a burden to
each other.
You're a burden to each other. He's burdening you. You're burdening each other.
Yeah.
And that's the tough pill to swallow, man.
It is.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
We had actually the top comment that was actually posted on that duo episode that we did was by Coach Cupcake, and we've had Cupcake on the episode, on our podcast twice. Exceptionally good support player, obviously with Direwolves,
arguably
great
one
coach.
of the best in O's, honestly.
Yeah, one of the best in Australia, New Zealand, he's a
Very
legend
good
of all
support.
time, right? And he coaches currently, has his own program, the School of Support. So go check out his channel. Been high challenger for many, many years. Currently in Europe, I think. So he commented here, since it sounded for a second that you may be encouraging duoing for bot lane, my 2 cents on this. I've seen many of my students who duoed with an ADC and took no responsibility for wave management or any meaningful decisions. When to fight, when to base, etc. And that is one of the dangers of duoing for any two roles, shifting responsibility away from yourself. For bot lane, it's even worse, as you basically don't have any time by yourself. There is no way to improve at the game. Sure, if it's a truly collaborative effort and you're committed for the long run, then there could be some value. I have my doubts that exists. I try to simplify it more and tell my students that duoing is for fun and solo queue is for improvement.
I love it. And it's exactly the conclusion
It's
that we've
what
kind of came
we've seen, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Cupcake's probably watching that bot lane and just cringing because there's nothing about duo there, is there, going on?
I mean, that was probably 4 or 5 actual good end of review points. Great learnings from that game.
Great learnings.
That we could apply for the next games. But there's no... If we ever had a conversation, discussion in that game with our duo partner about what would have happened at the 26-minute mark... That is a complete waste of time.
That there shouldn't have even been a single sentence said after wave 3.
Yeah.
The fact that we lost Prio in that lane,
It's massively game-changing.
that's already end of review. I think that changes the entire dynamic of the lane.
So I think 2 things that we're seeing from duo is that, once again, a misunderstanding of how much League is an individual-based game. Yeah. And the second one here is just how much, you add more complications to an already difficult game. Is there a third one, fourth one?
I mean, I think you said it really well, and I think that look, one thing I will say though, and I think we've spoken to this about Cupcake before, but I think support is an extremely misunderstood role because when you look at other roles, right? You look at jungle, top, and mid. It's almost like what you need to do is a lot more obvious. Like as a jungler, it's like, okay, I'm clearing my camps, I'm doing some sort of an objective, or I'm ganking. With mid, it's like, okay, I got to win trades and maybe roam or something. And then top, I just got to dominate my lane. I got to win my 1v1. It's all on you, right? With support, it's kind of like you got to do a bit of everything. You do have to really kind of take trades. You got to really be conscious with like your warding. You got to like have a say with what you want to do with waves a lot. You got to like have your roam windows and be there for neutral. Like there's a lot of like weird, small, invisible things, like very small, invisible things. And the way you impact a game, is just through like a lot of like as, Cupcake says it, he calls it fog warring. These concepts such as fog warring and threat and pretending you're somewhere where you're not. And it's like all the small things adding up. And it's like, it's not intuitive, really. I think when you think of support the role, like I'm talking beginners, you think of, oh, I'm that supportive character. I don't do much.
My AD carry.
I'm helping my AD carry be strong, and I do that by warding and then chilling, kind of. But it's almost like opposite. You got to be extremely proactive. It's like, again, all these small little things. And my point that I'm trying to make here is, I think if you want to improve as a support, you got to hold yourself to a very high standard. You can have insane impact on a game if you want to. Right? You probably some of the most high impact fucking gameplay that you can have out of all the roles, honestly, if you're a really, really good support. I still have nightmares of versing Cupcake and solo queue, being the highest impact person on the Rift. But again, it's not intuitive. And so I think with other roles, it's a lot more intuitive. So you got to go above and beyond. You got to really, you can't shy away from the details, and you got to take responsibility because it's not actually about the AD carry a lot of the time. It's actually about the support.
Yeah. You can literally carry lanes by yourself.
Yeah, you can carry your AD carry,
support.
100%.
Yeah. The other, I just want to whip in this analogy here that I came up with because we talked about this before. Just people's misconception around League. I think a way that I describe it, because the way that traditional team sports works is you've got a ball, right? And the play is happening with that ball. Like, yes, everyone has to do their job still. Like, you got to tag your opponent, sort of stuff. But there is a lot of downtime if you don't have the ball and stuff like that. But for League, you have the ball, especially in the early game specifically. Everyone has the ball the entire time. So, League is, even what we say as well, the League is a 1v1 game, specifically as well for, mid, top, and jungle. But again, it's same is for support as well. For everyone, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, no one's actually controlling the mouse of the AD carry last hit in. Like, if your support, you're playing insane, but your AD carry is missing all the minions, well, like, that person is not doing their job, no matter how much you tell them or their advice on how to last hit better, right? The individual component of the game is so massive, and duo queue, in a way, I'm going to say it disrespects the solo queue, the solo individual aspect of the game.
I think it disrespects the difficulty of the game.
That too, as well.
I think that's really what it really does.
They think you can just chuck some communication in and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I think again, it's and I don't think it's purposeful disrespecting. It's like they don't know what they don't know.
This is again where I say like a huge message in our project with this podcast is we're in such early days with our understanding.
We don't even understand what the game. Like a lot of people who, if you haven't been playing the game for a long time, even people who have been playing the game for a long time, they don't even really understand what the game of League is about fundamentally.
No. And how it works.
And how it actually works. And how everything is just, like you said, it's a language in a way. When you play League like for a long time, everything makes sense. That person's doing that because that champion's doing that because of that, in that role, in that situation with that champion. That makes sense. Like everything makes sense.
It's structured. It follows.
It's very,
patterns.
very structured. It's actually, it's very like when you understand the language of League of Legends, nothing is really that confusing.
That's why
not up until the highest echelons of the game.
That's why it's replicable. That's why we're able to coach players so consistently to higher ranks, just following principles and fundamentals because they're replicable.
And it's straight up the case. And again, when I'm doing Master Plus coaching, right? Even Master Plus coaching this week, the situations, it's very rare that the situations are even complex. What makes them complex is you have to read that situation fast and make a decision quickly. That's the only thing that's actually that's the complicated aspect of it. It's like your ability to see what's happening and solve it fast enough, right? But the actual underlying concepts are not that complicated. It's the execution is the hard bit. The execution and the speed is the hard bit.
And build in that pattern
That
recognition
muscle
over
memory.
time, so you don't actually need to think about a
That's
lot
exactly.
of it, because you're
Freeing
just
up the mental state.
I
That's
see
the
this and I've
difficult
seen
bit.
this and I've seen this. And remember, like the highest level of League, the thinking of the foundation, the fundamentals of the game is actually there's not really anything going on there. It's pure mechanics and execution.
That's right.
Really. Which even a lot of that is still muscle memory.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think that gives us a little bit of insight. Again, we didn't mean to be negative Nancy's here, but that's just, again, we're just trying to paint the reality.
We're trying to
That's
paint
it.
the reality. We're trying to get to the truth. We're trying to help people understand more about the game. Again, we always say if we're missing the mark, if we're not, we'll read the comments of this episode. We'll keep chipping away because, like, I think I'm very confident we have very good intentions. We love getting results for our students. We get a lot of results for our students. We're just trying to help people understand more about how League works, so then people can have a better experience. And not just for yourselves, but for your teammates as well. Just everyone, the whole League community. Let's get together. Let's understand what the game's about. Let's all sit down and agree. And then it's just a matter of execution, and just now it's just we understand, like, it's like getting to black belt. Like, everyone knows what you need to do to get to black belt and, like, karate or something like that. Like, that's my dream.
Yeah, the dream is that everyone
knows. This is
everyone
the skills,
knows.
right? It's like, this is how it works. And
I just got to follow this thing. I just got to follow this path. I got to develop these skills, and that will get me there.
And that's, again, extremely hard to do. It takes a lot of time and effort, but then no one's confused why their laners are dying or their jungle is not helping at grubs or whatever.
Before we move on to the next segment, the quote that I've always latched onto, not only for League but in life, is everything makes sense, and if it doesn't, it's just your view of reality. And that is the question. That is really that's the guiding principle of League. If you can't figure out why something happened the way it did, that means you just don't understand it well enough, right? So, for example, that top situation with the Rift Herald, right, or the grubs, right? So let's say, for example, you thought that you could contest the grubs, but your diner didn't go there, right? And you just couldn't get it. Okay, well, why? There's you may not understand it in the moment, but in the review, I promise you, there is a sign, there is an underlying game sign, piece of information, or some concept that you just don't understand. And in that case, what the Soraka didn't understand was a multitude of things. Number one, the Urgot needed to shove the wave out and get a reset, had limited resources, and does not want to overstay in that situation, because then the wave, he needs to be able to get back to lane to prevent the wave from crashing. Number two, the diner was already off tempo and couldn't have even been there in the first place. He's already late. Number three, the Soraka even needed to be bot anyway to play off the bounce bot regardless, because the wave was now bouncing. You were already taking too long to go top. And then obviously, number four, by the time you even started moving over there, the grubs were already taken, so we could have used that as a sign to start basing anyway.
Yeah, we weren't
There was like four hardcore signs that would have allowed us to realize that, okay, that probably wasn't the best play to go.
That's
for.
why grubs was gone.
That's why grubs was gone. So my point being is that you're at the start of your journey where you didn't even see one of those signs. Right, to the point where you'll get to the point where you'll look at that map set, you'll know instant. Your intuition will tell you without even really there's no thinking going on. It's like, oh yeah, I can't go for that. You might not even understand the reason why, but it's just like my intuition tells me I know I can't be there. I got to recall. That's the point you got to get to, and that takes time. It takes a lot of practice.
And once you fully understand that concept, League clicks with you, and then you realize that everything is structured, and you can make consistently high percentage plays.
And so just tying back into that problem solving mentality, right? Let's tie it back to lane, and this is the way you got to view lane, right? It's like, okay, well, we just got annihilated level 2 by this Zac, right? They took a really bad level 2 trade. I think was it level 2 or level 3? One of them, right?
Yeah, we got hit by the Q level 2.
Right, we took a really bad level 2 trade.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question becomes, okay, this is a problem, right? I got this problem in front of me. Wow, we just took this really shit level 2 trade. So then I go to that, I'm like, okay, what happened here? Okay, yeah, they hit level 2 first. They ran around to us, and I got hit by this. So then there's a problem, isn't it? Okay, I'm like, all right. Okay, if we'll start, first of all, why are they level 2 and I'm level 1? Let's answer that question. Okay, oh yeah. Do we have to, is that the way this matchup works? Could we have actually shoved? Could we have actually got prior level 1, level 2? You should start thinking about that. Interesting. That's something I can maybe test next time. Maybe I can actually try and play for level 2 first, see what happens. And then you'll try maybe play level 2 in a similar situation. oh, but then, there might be another problem you face. But my point being is that there's a problem and now you need to figure out what the potential solution. And then maybe you realize, okay, well, I can't play for level 2. All right. If we can't play for level 2, we need to get shoved in. So I need to respect. So maybe my positioning was a little bit too aggressive. And that's why you start with the first 8 minutes. Let's just solve the major problems in that first 8 minutes with that problem-solving mentality. And then that's where you start to build that consistency. And I think where a lot of people get scared of this is that they don't know the answer. That's okay. Even if you don't know the answer to that question of, well, why'd they get level 2 first? That's okay. But at least you're thinking in that way, because that's where taking responsibility starts. Taking responsibility starts with having that problem-solving mentality and being open-minded and curious. But if you don't even have that, then you're doomed. If you don't even see that as a problem, if you don't even see getting chunked there at level 2 first as a problem, then that is the problem. That's where it all starts. You have to start by taking responsibility, have that problem-solving mentality.
I just had a thought in my mind. The way actually people should think about duo queue, where actually is effective, it's not duo queue in-game. Duo queue review. That could be more, because then you can have another brain to sort of bounce off.
If you had 2 open-minded, curious individuals at a similar level of playing game understanding, that's when you could probably, as long as you didn't mess up with the communication, allowed you to just express yourself in game, and as long as you could both be open-minded and curious, that is where you could probably get some serious learning. But that, again, this is why what Andy said here as well is that if it's truly a collaboration and you're committed for the long run, but he's like, does that even exist?
Yeah, no.
And we haven't seen that yet.
No. It's just logistically doesn't make sense.
It's just really theoretical.
It's really theoretical.
It's really theoretical. It's rare. Again, I'm sure it exists, but it's rare as shit.
All right. So that's that segment. Now I have a topic here, Curtis. This is a review that I did this week, and I wrote down, we love breaking down narratives, right? This is an extreme situation, whether my clients, master tier player, I don't know exactly, 100, 200 LP, but now he's playing in like D4 Emerald 1 games, right? So we've talked a lot about in the podcast how that could be, that's a really big challenge to sort of get over a lot of mental blocks and narratives. I just want to throw out some things that maybe people can relate to. Maybe just dissect some of these, Curtis. Maybe we can keep it simple and it's just, simple, just poor relationship with the game, all stage 4 issues on our pyramid. So I want to read some out. These are direct quotes from that review.
This is my specialty, Nathan. This is what I love.
Your specialty?
This is my specialty.
All right. So Curtis might have Curtis is licking his lips.
I love this stuff.
He's licking his chops. All right.
Yeah.
Again, these are quotes. These are in sequential order. So, I just watched my top lane of this game and I just facepalm. I don't know how to not blame my team. Loading into this game, I see 2 emerald borders and I'm instantly upset. I watch my top laner and I facepalm, yeah. If this is a Masters lobby, this game is over. That was in response to something. His top laner got a solid, up 20 farm or whatever like that and denied a bunch of experience. Another line, again, flat out quotes from this person's mouth. It's so hard to review myself. Wouldn't I not make the mistakes in the first place if I knew what I was doing was wrong? I'm just so upset at my current rank. When you start to play with pros and streamers and then start to fall a lot, I feel like it hits a lot harder than just going from emerald to platinum.
Okay.
So these were some of the narratives that we had in a review. And the thing is about we had a conversation about this. He knows he's in an extreme case. He's sort of in rock bottom. And he's been very honest with me. He's actually extremely honest with all his
I don't
narratives.
think this is an extreme case at all.
Okay.
I think this is extremely common.
Okay.
And whether or not someone is dropping from, going with pro players to master or whatever whatever, it's the same shit.
You're thinking the same thought patterns are happening.
The same thought patterns.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the way you feel, it's all relative. Like if you could remember, someone getting to diamond, that could be the top of their world. That could be it for them, So it's all relative.
It's all relative.
So it may feel obviously very painful. I'm not discrediting how painful it is for him, but what I'm saying is that there's many people at differing ranks that have experienced the same feeling, right? So the first thing that really, when I hear these things, that comes to my mind is that he hasn't. I mean, there's many things. So the first one is he's obviously anchored to a previous rank, and he can't accept the reality of his situation, right? And as a result, he's lost all curiosity and open-mindedness. And yeah, and that anchoring kills you because in his mind, he's up here. In his mind, he was up there. And he hasn't actually, he still has a belief, whether or not he's aware of it, he still has the belief that he is up there.
Yeah, not he was, he is.
Yes, mentally, he's still up here. He thinks
yeah.
he genuinely is that player that was there. And that has a real painful experience. That's a real deadly thing to think because when you're playing games, you're not actually present in the moment. You're not actually genuinely trying to problem solve. So the way you want to view it is this, right? I want to give you a metaphor or an analogy, right? Imagine like you're in like a maths exam and you're in a maths exam and like you head into the exam like knowing that you haven't studied. And so you're like going into it and you're just stressed to fuck. You're like, I'm screwed. Oh my God. Like you're literally repeating in your mind, oh my God, I'm screwed. Oh my God, I'm so fucked. Oh my God, I'm just going to fail this. And then I'm going to have to retake it. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I shouldn't have played all that League of Legends last night. Fuck. And you're just like going in your mind. You're in your head the whole time. How the hell are you going to problem solve whatever the hell's in front of you? Even if you could, even if theoretically the stuff, believe it or not, that you've actually learnt this shit before and you could have, if you were present in the moment, you could have solved it. You're actually unable to because you're so jacked up mentally that you can't remain present and actually express what you know in the moment. So there is an element of that. There is this truthfulness there to what he's thinking where he is theoretically probably playing at a lower level of play. It's obviously maybe not that degree. He's probably not a 700 LP player and now he's a Diamond 4, but maybe he's actually a Diamond 1 player. Like I don't know his situation, but let's say spitball. He probably is playing lower than his level of play. And because he's probably somewhat aware of the fact that he is playing lower than his level of play, he thinks that that is the difference between him being Diamond 4 and 700 LP, but it's only the difference between like Diamond 4 and maybe Diamond 1. You see what I'm getting at? So there is a truth to what he's saying. There is an element of self-sabotaging behavior. There is an element of like, he can play better, but it's not to the same degree that it actually is in reality. So there is some sort of like barrier there that he needs to like let go of. So you need to find a way to be present and accept your situation. And that's the toughest part. The toughest part is that now I'm at this rank. I need to let go of whatever's happened in the past and I need to focus on doing my job in this game and expressing who I am. And I need to be also, this is the hardest bit, I need to stop shitting on myself for making mistakes. I need to actually be like, okay, this is my level of play and I'm not a lesser human being for being at this level of play. Because what I've noticed with a lot of people is that they've attached their rank to their self-worth. And so when they drop in rank,
this is definitely the case for this guy.
Yeah, so he when he got to that first one, when he climbed high, right? Let's say he was playing with pro players. He would have thought he was the top.
The identity is like, oh,
I am that guy.
I'm a league player that I just rock up, I queue up, and I play with pro players.
And I'm that guy. I'm that guy that plays high level games with pro players, and I can beat these guys, and I'm at that level. Now, when he drops, it's like, well, I'm losing to Diamond 4s. Wow, what does that mean about me? I've been calling these Diamond 4 players shit and Low Master T players shit for so long that now I'm there. What does that make me? So now when he's making mistakes in game, it's not just, oh, I died to Rengar. It's like, whatever his name is, Sam is losing to this idiot. You know, it's like personal. And so it's stacking up one after the other to the point where it's like super self-deprecating behavior and you lose your mind.
The quote here, again in the review when I talked about, I'm so upset at my rank.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So upset.
It's personal. He's personally affected by this. And so this is the tough pill you got to swallow. And this is it, man. My advice to him would be, the reality is that you're not as good as you think you are. That's the first time I say. You're not that guy. You're not as good as you think you are. And if you were, you'd be winning these games. Fact.
Part of as well, remember the skill of League is, let's say he did that initial bit of a loss streak and was playing bad. The skill is he wasn't able to figure out how to recover from that and just went down. Right. So that's a skill he's lacking. And that is inbuilt into your rank as well.
And also the fact that you're not able to win that far below your rank means that your muscle memory is not good enough anyway. Because let's say I tilted. Let's say for some reason I tilted. I was in a bad mental state. I can only go so far because my muscle memory would kick in and I start stomping. So the way it works is that let's say I tilt from 300 LP or some shit in Master to like Diamond 2. or like say Diamond 1, I can't possibly go below Diamond 1 because my muscle memory would be so high that it would kick in. So the tough pill to swallow, the true test is that if you've dropped that far, that means you're not good enough anyway.
You weren't in that elo
You
range.
weren't that guy. Yeah, you weren't that guy.
Yeah.
You're not that guy.
Yeah.
And that is the tough pill to swallow. So you got to realize that you're not as, that is the start. I am not as good as I think I am. And that's freeing. That's liberating. It's like,
so liberating. Yeah.
Okay, I can let go of this this ego that I had, this idea of who I was. Wow, that that takes so much pressure off. It's like, chill the fuck out. No one actually cares if you're that guy or not anyway. It's all in your head, right? And the people that think and the people that talk down on you, they don't actually give a shit about you. And it's like, they're not actually people that are important in your life. So what you need to do is reframe it as like, okay, what matters is the way I conduct myself on the Rift. You know, this is what the only thing that matters. How was my effort and intensity? How was my focus? How was my lull set usages? How was my assessment of win cons? How was my early part, my ganks? Just bring it back to behavior. Boom, 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 boom. And you can look at this and be like, okay, well, you know what? Regardless of what happened, I'm happy with my intensity. I'm happy with my effort. I did what I could. That's all I can ask for. Great. At least I know where I'm at, and then I can build on that. And so, but it all starts with just realizing that you're not the person you think you are, and that's the only way to build up.
Yep. Another one is that another belief you need to really instill. You're never above the fundamentals or basics of the game. It always operates.
League always humbles you.
And it always operates in the same structured way all the time. You're just in your head or, you know, actually just playing shit and you need to just figure out and take a decision by decision. That's why people just absolutely just disrespect the game when they start getting into these mindsets.
And you know what? I'm going to call out someone for a second. So I had a review today with Mysterious Tim. From
Timmy.
Tim.
I love
and
Tim.
he hit rock bottom in his solo queue recently where
Right. I love that.
where he's got an ego. He came into every game and he said, Curtis, I've got stage 4 issues. I need help. And his situation was very similar where it's like he comes in with a mindset where I'm better than everyone. And so as a result, you're coming with this mentality of I got to dominate my opponent. These people are not as good as me. I can do all these disrespectful things and get away with it. And then you just lose. And you're just left feeling like shit because it's like, well, fuck, I'm now losing to these players. What does that what does that make me? And then that plays on your mind and you start losing confidence. You start playing worse. You try to make up for that fact and it gets out of control. It's like a doom spiral. So I think for just going back to these things, I just look at this one as well. I love these quotes. I watch my top laner and I facepalm. That one, I love that one because again, what it's doing is, again, you're looking at these players around you and because you're looking at all the mistakes that other people you're like in this judgment mentality where it's like, look at this guy. Oh my God, I can't be in this guy's rank. But in reality, these things were actually happening in your rank before. You just weren't thinking about him. You just weren't looking at him.
Reinforced going to, if this was a master tier game, we would have won that game. That's
Out of
like, it goes from, I watch my top lane and facepalm, and then it's got reinforced, like extra concrete underneath. It's like, well, because if this was a master game, we would have been able to win that game.
And and again, what's really going to be hard for him is that he can't realize that he's the one that's ruining games, but he can't see it.
No.
Because it's for him, it's personal and it's going to hurt your ego. And that's going to be the tough pill, right? The tough pill for him is like, again, it's personal. And until we can actually accept that he's not as good as he think he is, and that's okay. It's a 2-part thing. It's, you're not as good as you think you are, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're less deserving of respect. It doesn't mean you're less deserving of love. It doesn't mean you're less deserving of friendship or anything. It's like, that's just it. We're all just humans and you're on your own journey and we're all on our own journeys, and that's the only thing that matters. The only thing you should ever be concerned about in your league journey is how am I expressing myself on the Rift, and everything else is a distraction, and that's it.
Why processing is so important, because it helps you bounce back from these type of situations.
And you can tell as well, look at this, it's so hard to review myself. It's like he can't look at the mistakes he's making. He can't do it. You got to look yourself in the mirror, man, and be like, this is where I'm at. This is who I am. You're not some super talented freak at the game, you know, and that's it.
All right. So let's move on to our SummonerSchool post of the day here, Curtis, of the week. Another one here, I guess another narrative. This one's from SummonerSchool by ScarletEverdeen HD. The title of this one is, I Can't Carry Games Anymore. Hey folks, I'm an older player that has returned to playing League. I played back in early Season 2 and peaked at Plat 4 to 3 back in Season 4-5. I'm very analytical and love the strategy side of League. I stopped playing officially around 2018 and came back this year. My experience in solo queue has been a nightmare. I placed in Gold 1 or so, and slowly over the course of a month, I found myself in Bronze 2. I'm beyond disappointed in myself and feeling defeated. I've really been trying my hardest and my best, and it seems under those conditions it's not enough to carry my teammates, who are very quick to make game-ending mistakes. The quality of games I've had in the past 72 hours have been subpar as well, following a trend of crushing or coming out significantly ahead and then struggling to finish out the game, which to add, I don't care for. I prefer to lane against people better than me so I can actually get better. Out of the 19 games I played and grinded out, was curious if I did the no move, I only won 5. Out of the 14 defeats I can pinpoint for certain my weakest performing games and know that I played into lane poorly, which boils down to about 4 of them. The other 10 fall under the other category of just not being good enough to carry my weaker teammates or being good enough to make a game-ending play before my team throw. I'm definitely going to take a break from the game since I feel like shit about myself currently with how things have been, but I know I'll be back to practice and improve. Anywho, I could use some pointers on what I could do to help improve. I believe my skill level overall is somewhere between Silver 1 and Gold 3. I looked back and came to the conclusion that I don't perform well to be in Upper Gold according to my performances on OPGG. So look at his match history here. So he said that he's going down to Bronze 2. He said he was going to take a break. This was actually 23 days ago, the post. So we've got up to Silver 3 now. So we're still playing. We play a lot.
This is a grinder.
This is a grinder. What do we got? We got how many games this season? 400 games this season.
Okay, that's good.
Win rate. Curtis, you know what? This is the biggest red flag. Whenever I see a player say, I'm very analytical and love the strategy side of the league, especially these older players. We've actually had so many examples of this on the podcast if you think back. I think it's great to have this, and that's an awesome thing. But it's fine though, Curtis. But again, the identity is like I'm that strategy, that mid-game macro player.
As long as you,
it's whenever I see that, the first thought, maybe I'm too quick to judge, but my first thought is that player is not respecting how important the individual components of mechanics and execution is of the game. You don't think so?
I agree, but it's not because he doesn't. It's not because he just doesn't know. Like, you think about it, right? He played, look at this, season 2 to 4 and 5 or something.
I remember we literally had an email about this. And
you know what I mean? Like, the game's just changed. Yeah. The game's, like, that's what the game was back then. It kind of was a bit of like a, I guess there was like, everyone's talking about like rotations and shit. And I don't know. Like, I think that, it's not disrespect.
Right. The word is like, he just doesn't understand that the game's different. It's a different game. Like people are better mechanically and stuff.
I just think that, like, genuinely when I look at this whole thing, right? He just doesn't. This player, like, just doesn't know what the game of League is about. And I know this for a fact because, I mean, he plays mid, right? And I'm looking at his OPG and I just know, right? I've done looked at a lot of Silver gameplay, Bronze gameplay. I know exactly what I would see in his games and looking at his Ari gameplay. What I see with these sorts of players is that they really don't understand the consequences of mistakes and all the small things they're doing. And so what they think the game is they think it's a series of big things. Yeah. It's like there's going to be a big team fight here and there's going to be a big solo kill here and then a big
dragon fight.
The big roam.
Yeah.
And the amount of things that could go wrong in Silver there are so many. You remember we said this many times, the quote, the lower elo you are, the more things that are going wrong. So for example, I did some below, plat coaching today. And one of the examples was roaming, where they just roam and just lose 2 waves. Now, if you roam twice, you lose 4 waves. You're just screwed. You roam once like that, you lose 2 waves, and you die. You're out of the game. So what you find is that these players, they could be over roaming. So I'm just going to spitball a bunch of things that could be going wrong, right? He could be over roaming and sacking waves. He could be dying to early ganks in the early game because he's not warding and leaning. He could be taking poor trades and overstaying in lane with a shit ton of gold and just bleeding prio. He could be just overall playing his lanes wrong, playing super defensive in lane, losing a bunch of prio. Therefore, the enemy has first move to every play. Therefore, he's late to every play. Therefore, his skirmishing is always going to be on the back foot. He could be never shoving in, moving in the side, so his farm goes to shit and he's just really far behind. He could be A-ramming and overforcing bad plays. He could be not saying no to plays when he doesn't have R as an RE player. The list goes on. The list goes on. There is so many things that you just don't know. And so I've come to the conclusion when it comes to like these ELO brackets that priority number one is that you really got to pick a simple champion and you got to like really simplify your journey as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, wow. We got Ari, Orianna, Talia, and Twisted Fate, and Azir.
So Talia is very complicated. There's a lot of like little invisible things because you don't have a combat spell on your R. So I wouldn't play Talia. Ari can be played, but Ari is one of those champs where you really got to understand the reference points. I've realized a lot of people don't understand what Ari is about. Ari is actually an MLS approved champion in my program. And a lot of people say, wow, I didn't actually know what the identity was of Ari. And when I came, now it all finally understood it. And there are people in my program that do click with Ari. There are some people that don't. So with Ari is a bit of a complicated one because I think it can have success, but it's not an easy champion. Then you've got Orianna, also an MLS approved champion, but again, Again, I give it a 10 out of 10 difficulty in my program. It's it's not for the faint of heart. You got to be very mechanically. Given he's an analytical player, from what he's saying, that wouldn't suit you. Then you've got TF, again, also quite complicated. Azir, very, very complicated. And he's also now playing a shit ton of Kiana, right? So I think he's really making the journey harder for himself, especially as an old school player. And if you're a bit of an older gamer, what I would suggest priority number one is start picking even though it may be a little bit boring, really simplify your champion pool. Like just pick one or two champs that are very, very simple. Like the champs that I'd be looking into personally would be like things like Swain, Vigar, Malzahar, Brand, just like very, easier to execute kits, things that, that maybe have a little bit more clear reference points and we can kind of work around that. Then what I would do is that I would start by trying to try and complete your first 12 minutes without dying, with getting relatively solid resets and taking good trades, and then just start from there. Now, I can't go any deeper than that without looking at his gameplay, but I think my high level advice, Nathan, to a client like this would be just pretend that you know nothing about the game. Pretend everything you ever known, throw it all out the window and start from scratch and be like, okay, let's just pretend this maybe game isn't about strategy. And it's like, and then maybe watch a few VODs. If you don't want to pay for coaching, just go watch a few VODs. What are other people doing? Why are they trying and look at their first 8 to 12 minutes? What are you seeing? What are their trades like? Are they, what are they doing just really basically with their resets? What are they buying? And just try and create a stable first 8 to 12 minutes. And then I would say that's what I'd recommend if you didn't want to get coaching. And then go from there. But yeah, the fundamental problem is that he doesn't understand the game. He thinks he understands what the game is about, but it's not about that anymore.
There's probably lack of understanding of champ mastery as well, because we clearly seen lots of champs, even between games, like Karma, I saw in there, Kiana. And, it's so funny when maybe, going back to our champ pool guide, we had the archetype of champions. Maybe he doesn't understand the difference between a mechanical champion and a more strategy, again, not every champ, there's no champ in the game that's pure strategy. There's always an execution of the game, but to identify yourself as an analytical and strategy side of the game, and then I just see Kiana and Orianna.
And you just got to get... Orianna's the most mechanical champ in the game.
It's so backwards. It's so you're
backwards. Yeah, legit backwards.
This is not what I expected OPGG of someone who identifies as an analytical strategy side type of player.
So this is the other thing as well, is that you got to get the word carry. Delete the word carry. Just
everyone in the community, even a challenger player, delete the word carry.
It's like the question you need to ask yourself is, what is my job as my champion? Yep. Am I doing my job in this game with my champion correctly?
And then play the game of League, the language, read the game, and doing your job. That's actually how you carry.
It's like I'm playing Ari this game. What is my job? What does Ari want to do? What is Ari's job? If you can't even answer that question, then you need to start doing some research. Like, what is Ari's job? And that's what I found. A lot of people don't even know what Ari's job is. So I think that you need to really ask the basic questions first. Am I just doing my job? And that starts with really identifying and being clear on what is Ari's identity? What is your champ's identity? What are my champ's reference points? What does my champ fundamentally want to do? Don't think about winning the game. You're not a gold player. You are a silver player. You are 110% a silver player. And that's a tough pill to swallow again.
Yeah, switch your mindset from wins and losses and switch it to how do I win this specific situation? How do I win this trade? How do I win the experience game? That's how you need to start compartmentalizing the game.
Yes. Am I taking good trades? Straight up. That is a really good place to start as well. Am I just taking good trades and not dying to ganks? If you can do that, that's going to take you 70% of the way there, honestly.
All right. Great practical advice from Curtis, the mid lane expert there.
Moving on, Curtis's clip.
I believe so.
Yep. Let's get into the details, guys. And welcome everyone to Curtis's Clip Corner. Okay, so getting into the details here, this was, I believe this is a diamond. It might even be Master Plus. I think it was diamond though. This is a game state. So we're Akali here. We're 5-1. We're very strong. We've got 3 dragons in our back pocket. You would look at this and think game's over.
I'm looking pretty good.
I mean, how do you lose this game? You got a 3.5 item Twitch. You're 2.5 item Akali. You do amazing into a lot of their champions. You got Concrete, got the really good tank shred build. You're doing great, right? All you got to do is just chill, relax, play for dragon, game over, right? Now, what happens is that as we kind of continue on here, he kind of, maneuvers onto the top side of the map. We're chilling. Plays for the wave. And you'll see in a moment here, look at this. The team just start Baron. And we're just like, okay, we walk over and we just start hitting the Baron. We just start hitting the Baron again. We've got 2 Qs on it. Oh, okay, well... We're doing Baron now, guys, I guess. All right, well, I guess we're doing it. Oh, shit, there's Galio. Wait, okay, go on. Galio? Oh, I guess, oh, shit, oh, no, everyone, oh, shit, well, dead. Oh, no. Oh, I guess we just lose Baron now. Gosh darn it. And I guess that's game over. And we lose the game.
Oh,
they lose the game.
Wow.
Now, my point here that I'm trying to make, I'm trying to do it in a bit of a comedic way, and I'm sorry,
I love it. This is great. This is why I love League of Legends. I mean, I see this Baron, like, you know why? Everyone's just bored. Like, there's no mid wave, there's no top wave. Everyone's like, oh, we're ahead, just fuck it. Let's just do Baron, we'll see.
Fuck it, let's just do Baron.
No one's even thinking about turning and stuff. Like,
it's just...
There's no advantage.
There's no thought.
There's no control ward in the pit.
It's no
the
thought.
Worst Barons that I've ever seen.
It's like, okay, I'm like, listen, and this is the framework I use, right? I use the micro perspective, macro. What's up with micro? It's like, okay, if you're going to do the Baron, you don't hit the Baron as an Akali.
You're an assassin.
You've got to get onto the back line. So we should be not even sitting here. We should be over there, kind of on the banana bush or some shit, or trying to move over the wall, something. We should never be in. There's a rule of thumb as a color. You never hit the Baron.
Simple, clean principle.
Right. So exactly, simple, clean principle. So that's from a micro perspective. We could have even won this fight if we actually played this better. We could have actually, believe it or not, won the fight. So there's that, right? But then macro, right? What are we doing? Why are we doing Baron? Take some control. Take some ownership of the game. Tying back to Cupcake's quote with the bot lane crap. Like take some responsibility. If your team's doing Baron, I'd just spamming the back. Get the hell off this thing, right? Now, my point is this. If you want to get better at the game, you gotta just make decisions. You have to make decisions. You cannot let other people make decisions for you. Again, every situation in League is an opportunity. It's like a science experiment. Every situation is a hypothesis, and you go in there, you have a crack, and you see what happens, and you get it as a solution. And there's a problem, and you got to try and figure it out in the review. But if the problem with this is that we didn't even make a decision, we let someone else make the decision. This is playing League without intention. That's what it looks like.
So Curtis, where people get flustered and where people might start typing in the comment section right now is like, well, what happens if I ping it and they still do it anyway? They don't get off.
Right, and that's where you adapt. And this is where a Cupcake's ACE framework comes into play. A, acknowledge the best play. C, communicate the best play. E, embrace reality. So what you would do in this scenario, following that framework, A, acknowledge the best play would be ping back on Dragon. Okay, A is actually, we don't want Baron. We want to play for Dragon, chill the hell out, free win on Dragon.
Or just set up the Baron properly.
Or just set up Baron properly. Either way, right?
Top priority control.
Then the question is, okay, how do you communicate that? Spam ping back on Dragon. We influence through our body language, so run away, maybe even sit around the edges. Don't just start hitting it and then ping back. Now, if they don't listen and they keep hitting it, then then it goes to E. We got to embrace reality. Well, my team's doing it anyway. How do I make it work? We're in this shitty situation. How do I make it work? In which case, you wouldn't hit the Baron. You'd then position yourself in a way to get onto the back line and do what you can. Okay, and that's it. That's simple.
I'm going to add another layer onto it, Curtis. If you do all those things and, you know, you've made the decision and you even said to yourself, okay, this is going to probably go bad, and you knew that going into this, and then you lose the game because of it, that's actually awesome.
Yeah,
A
it's
plus. You knew exactly the signs of what a bad Baron looks like. Fantastic. That's so difficult for people to grasp because then they start getting emotional and they start blaming narratives and they go to Reddit and type a post about how Diamond 1 sucks or Master Tier players suck, right? But that actually is improvement in a way, in my eyes.
The fact that you knew this was a bad Baron is
Yes.
exactly
Because you made that decision in your brain.
over the long span of time, over many games, you know.
You'll probably, let's say you win 2 games in the future on your next 40 games because of this exact same situation.
Right.
If you actually think about that, that's actually 100 LP difference.
Could be the difference.
That's massive, right?
So just make decisions. That's my point that I'm trying to make.
Yes.
Play with intention.
Play
Do
with
not let
intention.
other people make your decisions for you. And then, because what do we take away from this? The takeaway is like, yeah, I guess maybe I just shouldn't listen. I should make a decision.
Like not autopilot.
Yeah, not autopilot. That's the takeaway. And that's a pretty shit bloody takeaway.
That's
isn't
the
it?
terrible takeaway. That's so boring. Like, oh God, help me.
And so wake up. And I think this was an Emerald review. It was an Emerald
okay,
tier. And I remember I titled this as a daily tidbit. Emerald players need to wake up.
Yes, let's start playing with intensity.
Wake up.
I know you're capable. That's the thing. I
Yeah,
know they're
they're
capable.
capable.
I've seen it. Let's play with some intensity. We're not
Wake up.
cracking. We're not coming back.
Do
from
not
work,
want to. This is a waste of time.
cracking open some beers and just, you know, get a lead in a game and just think it's going to be easy. Every second, every decision counts. Speed, tempo, discipline, decisiveness.
What does Dr. Disrespect say? Speed, violence, momentum. That's what I want to see here.
That's
Dr.
what you wanna
Disrespect.
see.
Speed, violence, momentum.
Thank you, Dr. Disrespect, for the wisdom
Our Lord and Savior.
words, the motto.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Mailbag time. Away we go. Welcome back for Nathan's mailbag. Jingle, jingle, jingle song. Alrighty then here. Our first question here comes from Colin. The title of this email is Playing to Win versus Waiting for Mistakes. This email might be a little abstract, but I'm curious what you guys think about this as it relates to League. I've recently read a thread on chess.com discussing the difference between an 1800 rated player and a 2200 plus rated player, a very sizable difference in skill level. The consensus seemed to be that the lower rated player has some general strategic knowledge and good game sense, but often relies on their opponent to make a blunder or mistake and then will capitalize. Whereas when you start to face better and better opponents, they make less mistakes and you need to come up with real plans to win the game, not just play for someone else to lose it. Does this kind of dynamic play out in League at all? Is there a point in your league where you need to strategize and outthink your opponent to win the game instead of waiting for your opponent to blunder? At what rank do you think you'd see this shift start to happen? So this is the concept of the loser's game, winner's game.
I was going to say, I don't know if I believe in that anymore.
Really? Because we used to talk about that a lot.
We
In-
did.
In the first 100 episodes of this podcast, we love the winners and
But I
losers
don't
game.
resonate with it.
I was
It's
actually
general.
I was thinking about a couple of concepts. Like, let's get specific with some jungle, right? Like,
Yeah, let's get specific.
enemy jungler ganks one side of the map, and you just keep full clearing your camps, and you don't trade anything or anything like that. That's not. It's like a missed opportunity, but like that's the language of League. That's what you're meant to do, but that's not a mistake from the enemy jungler. You see what I'm saying? So like.
So what are you saying?
So the enemy jungler we're prepared against. So the enemy jungler ganks top lane.
Yeah.
Right.
And it works.
And it works or whatever, right?
Okay.
And your bot side and
Yeah.
enemy bot lane, and you're actually the path clearing towards bot,
Yeah.
and you know that dragons up or any bot lane camps are up, and you decide to just keep clearing your camps and not go and trade his bot camps for it. What's that? Is that like? Isn't that
That's
how
what I'm
League
saying. I
works?
don't know.
You see what I mean? Like,
I just don't resonate.
I agree. I think that's
I
how
changed
League
my
works.
philosophy.
That's actually how. That's just the correct 100% decision. That's not even the enemy team making a mistake. They're just making their play. You need to have a trade.
I've been actually really mulling over this exact concept.
Really?
I've been trying to figure out a way. I haven't cracked the code, but I needed a metaphor to describe it. But basically, I want to try and I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to try and explain how I view mid, right? So the way I'm viewing it at the moment is It's a combination of both. Okay, league is a combination, like winning in league.
Wait, let's
all ranks. I'm gonna say at all ranks.
Wait, let's pause, Curtis. Let's say can we, like, for people that don't know what winners and losers game is? So technically, the premise is that we're playing tennis, and all you have to do is keep returning the ball because eventually the opponent would miss the ball. And you don't have to do hard shots or like
because the opponent's just going to hit the net.
They're just going to hit the net.
And you're going to get a point naturally.
That's right. You don't have to like be strategic about moving them around the map and aggressively.
Whereas
hitting
winners
shots.
game is like they're not going to hit the net. They're competent enough that they're always going to get the ball over the net. So you got to actually return in a way to kind of force errors, make them make a mistake.
But there's risk from your end. But with the losers game, there's no risk from your end because you can just keep returning. Just a nice, easy return.
That's right.
So that's the definition of it.
So the reason I don't resonate with it anymore is that I feel as though you just got to play the game properly. You know, I just don't feel like
learn the game properly. Maybe is that the better way to frame it?
Like I've never viewed it. Okay, so let me just go back to what I was initially going to say, which is winning in league is a combination of both. So the word if I were to pick one word that describes having success in solo queue, it's actually just poise. And the reason poise is the word is because you got to be ready to capitalize on enemy mistakes, but then you also have to be willing to create those mistakes is what I'm saying. So let's use an example. It's a bit complicated when we don't use examples.
I sort of see what you're saying here, but yeah.
So let's say I'm playing mid, and let's say I am I'm just playing stock standard League of Legends. Let's say I'm playing Victor into let's say Victor into Talon, okay? And let's say I'm like just doing nothing fancy. I'm just slow building waves, timing my E's with last hits, warding and leaning. Now, if I do that, right, this is what I could do in my job. You know, I'm putting pressure on them coincidentally because I'm poking them down. I'm annoying them.
Overwhelming their mental stack.
And that creates errors. So they will make an error and I have to be willing to capitalize, whether that's a bad reset and I get to deny a wave, whether that's a shitty roam and I get to deny 2 waves, whether they overstay in lane and die. I'm creating that mistake. If I don't really resonate with the whole, I got to do nothing. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the equivalent on League is, just returning the serve. I don't know what that is. Because nowadays, especially when I'm coaching in my below plat program, the mid lane school, if I'm coaching silvers, I'm getting into the specifics. It's like, you're playing this matchup. This is what these champions do. You just got to do it. There's no such thing as me not interacting. There's no such thing as me sitting there under my tower and just letting them make mistakes. That's not the way the game works. The way the game works is that you force errors upon them by doing your job. And so the way it works is that I'm doing my job, they're doing their job, and yeah, they will probably mess up at some point, but only if I'm only going to be in a position to punish them if I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? So like there's no such thing as like, if I'm sitting under my tower, they won't make an error, is my point.
I see what you're saying.
That's
a good example.
That's what I kind of mean.
When I think about that, when I'm trying to explain it for jungle, it's like it'll be just someone that just like keeps trying to like gank or force an objective when they have a full scaling comp and they're just making the game more complicated than it has to be type stuff. Or like they've got lanes ahead enough. They have clear win conditions. They just need to just keep getting strong themselves.
But the way I view it is that you're still just doing your. But
that's
you're still
your
doing
job, right? It's not winners, but that's actually just what you're meant to do.
That's just what you're meant to do.
That actually is the winner's game. In a way.
That is the winner's game.
Yeah.
That's my point. My point being is that.
Yeah, how does that fit to League? You are right.
My point being is that like any scenario where sure, there is an element of capitalizing on the enemy's mistakes, but in order to put yourself in order to capitalize on those mistakes, you still just got to be doing your job, and that is winning the game. Like doing your job is playing the winner's game in a way.
It is. Yeah. No, I mean, I think
that's why I don't resonate with it anymore.
Maybe with jungle again, there definitely is elements like where I literally will say in a review, it's like you can get this dragon, sure, but you don't need to.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So my initial point was that yes, there is such a thing as yes, if you remain poised, the enemy will make mistakes. But that I don't view that as playing losers queue. That's just like I'm just doing my job. I'm not like the way people view it, and this is what I've noticed. Again, I'm just gonna use a real example, okay? Boom. Reviewing a silver game. we were playing Echo into Diana. The Diana goes for this roam on bot side. It's a bad roam. Or top roam. I think it was a top roam. Goes for a bad roam. Now, that is a bad roam. That is a mistake on their behalf. Right? Now, what a lot of people do is they panic. They think, oh my God, Diana's going for a roam. I got to do something. I have to counter roam. And they fuck up because they're like scared of like, they feel like they have to force something. They have to like make a response play. But I'm like, no, everyone's mind was shattered in this review session. I'm like, you know what? You can just reset. You can just go get a plate, then recall. It's like, is that, you sure? Is that what you're going to? Yeah. I'm like, you'll win the game if you do that.
Again, that's winner's
That
game.
is, but yeah, you can call that winners losers game. I don't know what that is though. Like, what is that?
A high percentage play.
It's just like
playing the experience goal game.
Yeah, but it's I just think that is the best response, and that the reason that is the best response. I'm like, well, you can't get a counter roam, you can't follow because this is exactly why you can't follow.
You have no other option.
There is no other option.
Yeah.
So like, I don't view it as like
It's not winners or losers.
It's not winners or losers game. I just view the game as the game, and the more that I've coached, and the more I've actually come to respect the lower elo brackets more. People aren't idiots. People play. They do shit. They like, even in bronze and silver. Like, you see some.
They get the ball wrong. You have to respond.
You got to respond. Like,
Yeah.
I think we've moved even past the game, the stage of the people are sophisticated in bronze and silver, straight up. Like, I see some shit. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this guy really knows their shit.
And again, when I say you need to respond, I'm saying like follow roam stuff. Your response could be you just push wave
Yeah.
recall, right? That is the response.
So like the way you want to view League is that you got to understand the fundamentals. You got to understand the fundamentals and the underlying concepts. Yeah. You got to understand golden experience. You got to understand like why, like the mid lane fundamentals, resets. You got to understand your job, your champ's identity. Like, these are the things you got to understand. Now, will that if you do these things, the way I view losers and winners queues, you just don't need to get creative. You don't need any creativity in League of Legends below like master tier, like 0. You can be as boring as batshit.
Yeah, just
like
purely play.
Like, I'm just gonna do what my champion says. I'm gonna take very high percentage plays. I don't even need to get remotely creative, and you can get to master tier.
Yeah,
straight up.
You can get beyond that.
Even beyond that, probably even
500 LP.
Yes, 100%, 300-400 LP for sure.
Yeah,
but so I'll be honest. I don't know what I don't know this. I don't know what this means for League anymore. I don't know.
Podcast is evolving, Curtis.
Yeah, we're changing all the time. We change our philosophy on many things. And this is one of the things I've changed my philosophy on.
It is. Because that was always the advice. I remember hearing, I think it was like old school advice. I can't remember, it was from like Pro Belter or something like that. I think it literally was from Belter. I don't know how I remember.
I gave that advice and I was wrong.
And literally, this is when I was like learning, literally in like season 2, season 3, like when I was like first like picking up the game. And they said, you don't have to do it, just wait for the enemy team to make mistakes in like season 2. And I think that's like been...
It's just propagated.
Propagated throughout the seasons. Because that was, back in then you could just play, it was just a very stalling game, like a Nivea mid and stuff like that. And especially from a mid lane perspective, that's like a very plug and play. And it worked for a lot of people. But as you said, people are overwhelmed with your mental stack and stuff. Like, there's stuff to do.
Exactly.
Let's get going.
Yep. So it's a good question.
Great
I just don't know how to answer that question, really.
All right, we'll do one more since we've been going for a while here. All right, we've got a classic one here. This one's from Jason. The title of this email is Can't Find a Main Role Champion. Hello, Nathan and Curtis. I'm a big fan of the podcast and really resonate with what you guys preach. I've been playing League since the end of Season 4 and started taking the game seriously in my freshman year of college around Season 9 because I wanted to play collegiate. I was my school's sub mid laner as a plat assassin main, mostly playing Katarina. I was never able to be the starter mid, so I decided to role swap my sophomore year since I saw that there wasn't any good ADC players that are going to play, and since I couldn't be a starter mid. Fast forward past that summer where I consumed content on how to be a good AD carry, specifically XFSN Saber. I hit Diamond 2 and even peaked Masters. Then somewhere along the way, I became a jungle main from season 2021 onwards, hovering around low Masters to peak in this recent season around 400 LP. Now comes the problem. Since being unable to reach GM at the end of last year and the jungle drastically changing where the jungle experience and gold getting nerfed, I hated playing my main but Graves. I feel I'm unable to carry and that my role has no impact, which even led to me quitting the game for a few months. I remember listening to an episode of Reigniting My Passion by finding what I enjoy about the game, but I just don't know what I enjoy. I'm able to play all roles to a master's level with multiple Smurf accounts in the past where I reached masters on all roles. I've reached a point where I have a solid 3 to 4 champs in every role since I have always enjoyed min-maxing my progress. I just don't know what role I should focus on to reach my goals of Challenger. Here are some of my accounts, since I can't remember all of them, but Midnight is my main. I've been playing One-Eyed Emperor recently to see how I feel.
Yeah, I don't even need to look at this. So, you know what this screams to me is you just haven't set yourself a difficult challenge. You know, this is what I see. And, you know, this is what we mean by like, why do you play League? You know, for you, the reality is that you want to be a good League of Legends player. So the question then becomes, or it's actually one of two things. Do you even want to climb above Master Plus? That's actually what I tell a lot of Master players.
You're gonna know what you're signing up for.
You got to want it.
Yeah.
You cannot casually climb past Master.
No.
Right? You either want it or you don't. If you don't, that's fine. You don't need to play League. But like, my point being is that set yourself a challenge. If you do want it, okay, set an ambitious goal. Aim for Challenger. So I want to aim for Challenger. Now the question becomes, what role? Pick a role if you're okay with all of them and send it. Now what's going to happen, and I'm going to forewarn you here, you're going to pick a role, you're going to get 2 months in, you're going to plateau, and then you're like, fuck, I picked the wrong role. No, that was going to happen in all the roles, and you're just trying to look for an escape. So what you need to do is you need to set yourself a challenge. It's like, I am going to play this role. Okay, as long as you don't hate the role, that's fine. I'm going to pick a role, and then I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to get Challenger with this role, and I'm not giving up. That's what you got to do. Or you don't play. There's no one or the other.
People like to throw out like I want to get Challenger. There's a difference like getting Challenger and like huge stepping on the goddamn journey to get to Challenger. It's sort of like again, I have no experience with this, but like I view of like if I was to go like prepare for a weightlifting competition, like you got to get serious, right? Like from what I've seen, I've observed, like diet, routine,
I hope so, yeah.
you know, so like that's like the sort of the same thing that I view, Curtis. Yeah, is that a bad analogy?
I think it was funny because like I have no experience with this for a weightlifting competition on a fucking League of Legends podcast.
I'm trying to use like you know you gotta like I'm trying to you know
yeah.
Or why
I get
running
it,
a marathon, Curtis? Like
No,
you gotta start practicing and training.
Yes, you gotta start training. You can't just casually. You're not gonna rock up to a marathon with just a few little weeks training. No, it's incredibly difficult.
Yes.
And think about how many people are Challenger on a ladder. There's like barely any. That's a percentage. So I see where you're coming from. So yeah, I agree. It's not something you're casually going to do. You got to actually want. You got to want to do it. You got to find that goal exciting, and then you got to commit to it. And you got to expect that there are going to be a lot of challenges along the way, and that's it.
And the champ and the role that you pick, you know, you might be a year in, and then you're like, okay, I fucked that one up, and that's just.
I don't know, but this is the tricky thing for him because I think that it's going to be defense mechanisms galore.
It's so easy to just.
It's so easy to say, I picked the wrong role. I just think, I'll be honest, I don't think he should. I think I would be a stubborn arsehole with this one and be like, I'm going to pick this role, I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
That's
the challenge that you're going for.
That's the challenge.
Right?
You got to.
If I fail, I mean,
you got to go for it.
You know, at the end of the day, there's not really any other way. You can't just be jumping around and just hoping that you're going to get challenged.
But I think even before you go on this journey, you got to ask yourself, do I actually want to embark on this journey or do I want to move on from League? Like, I genuinely think that's an important question to ask yourself.
Absolutely, especially at this level. There's a huge red flag there talking about jungle changes, jungle experience and gold and playing Graves. I don't know what other champs he played, but I reckon his view of the jungle was quite distorted. I think he had no idea what
he probably got to master as a jungler in a laners way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that in my program. There are people in my Midland Academy program that get master tier with jungle.
They're not really playing waves.
They're not really playing the role of jungle. They're just really good at skirmishing with champions and they know how to make it work.
Absolutely.
You're not really playing the role of jungle properly.
Yeah.
He sounds like to me like an 80 carry or mid main. From the language he's using and everything.
Yeah. All right. That's
Love it.
Our advice for Jason there. That's all we have time for today's episode, guys. As always, let us know in the comments. We love reading feedback from our community. Any questions, send them into Mailbag, brokenbyconceptshow@gmail.com. And I don't plug this often, but let's give us some ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Curtis. We're also on there as well, just not watching on YouTube. If you enjoy the podcast, if you want to give us a 1-star rating because you think that this podcast sucks, then go ahead. Good work, guys. Let's keep on improving 3-block process. We'll see you guys next week.